Hi, and welcome back to the Lil Will Learning Company. Now, when I was a classroom teacher, I had to attend a lot of professional development on teaching reading, essentially. And there was one particular method that we were taught a lot, which was one called balanced literacy, which is put forth by a woman named Lucy Calkins. And if you're kind of at all familiar with what's going on in education right now, there's a lot of kind of a swing of the pendulum in the other direction in the sense that there's a lot more of a look at the science of reading and a lot of people kind of acknowledging that a lot of that balanced literacy approach by Lucy Calkins that it wasn't really doing as good a job as it should have been doing, and there are many students who basically didn't really learn to read correctly. Now, I'm not really starting this video to attack anyone or to attack any particular side, but I want to make this video to actually look at both sides of this argument. The side of the science of reading and the components that are involved with that, and the side of balanced literacy and Lucy Calkins and how all this came about. There is even like a national report card, even a national scoreboard, or they keep track of both of these methods and how they've worked and how well they've actually helped students learn to read. And we're going to kind of look at all of this there. And so even if you're, let's say, a parent and you're going, I don't get it. My kid's smart. They can recite information back to me, but for some reason they struggle to read. And maybe even you're a teacher who says something very similar. This might be a topic that maybe opens up some eyes and go, okay, that kind of makes sense now. I kind of see what's happening here. So without further ado, let's take a look at this whole topic of the science of reading versus balanced literacy and the approach that was put forth by Lucy Calkins. So, what exactly do they mean by the science of reading? Well, essentially, there has been a lot of research on how students learn to read, and it's been done for decades and decades worth of research. And basically, what they've looked at is what has worked at scale, how well has it worked? How effective is it compared to other reading methods and things like that? Now, the one that's most used within school districts has been Lucy Calkins' approach or balanced literacy, and that's not what we're talking about here. If we looked at all of the research about what is effective reading instruction, it comes back to essentially 5 components. And those 5 components are phonemic awareness, phonics, then fluency, then vocabulary, then knowledge or reading comprehension. And sometimes it's kind of categorized into 4 pillars. Like instead of saying phonemic awareness and phonics, that might just be called decoding, then fluency, then vocabulary, then reading comprehension and knowledge. But that reading as a system, as a progression, has to follow that order. So first it is just learning the letter sounds, then learning how those sounds blend together to form words. Then it's learning to speak those words fluently and with different intonation and expression and tone and pacing. Then learning the knowledge of a lot of words in the sense of learning the vocabulary. What does this word mean? What word families does it belong to? Synonyms and antonyms and definitions, other versions, everything like that. Vocabulary goes a long way, which then leads into comprehension, which is if we do give them something to read, do they understand it? And what knowledge do they bring in before reading something new to help them understand it? And so this is not really my personal opinion. This is based on research over many, many, many decades worth of research, and it shows. First, decoding with phonemic awareness and phonics. So basically that's the how to read, essentially. Then the fluency, which is reading with, well, I sound repetitive, but reading more fluently or with more ease, basically. Then vocabulary, which is knowing what the words mean, which then leads you to reading comprehension, which is when you read on your own, you then gain the knowledge and understand what the text is actually saying to you. And I think that's something that's confused at times. Learning how to read and reading to understand, they're both part of the reading process, but they're not the same thing, or at the very least, they're not the same step. They come at different parts of the progression or parts of the system. So essentially, why all those 5 components, why does that matter? Well, because each of them ends up all working together. So another way to phrase it is this, like reading comprehension isn't just one skill, it's a combination of many skills. But again, reading comprehension really comes towards the end. Before that, you need phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, and vocabulary. Okay, another way to think of it is like this. Basically, in order to comprehend what you're reading, you do need to first be able to decode the words in front of you, and then you need to have some language comprehension as well with that, essentially. That's where the vocabulary comes in. There's this I hope, Scarborough's rope. I don't know why I was blanking on the name for it, but there's this thing called Scarborough's rope, which basically says that first you need like word recognition skills or strands. There's many different parts working together for them to have word recognition. But then for the language comprehension, there's also multiple strands working together. And ultimately, you want all those strands and skills working together, which allows for a skilled reading. And basically, the reason why fluency matters after you have phonemic awareness and phonics is if reading is really slow and it's taking a lot of effort to do, well, then there's no room for the brain to try to make any room for meaning of the words. So the fluency is what kind of eases the brain up to actually make meaning of the words. And basically, when you learn to decode, that's what makes the reading actually possible. But then when you combine it with the knowledge of vocabulary, background knowledge in a topic, and then reading to comprehend, which increases their knowledge, well, that's when reading becomes more powerful. And that's what we want for them. So that's the 5 main components of reading. And each of those 5 components, each of those steps has to be taught systematically and taught really explicitly, one step at a time. Now, there is a contrast to this method compared to balanced literacy and Lucy Calkins. So basically with Lucy Calkins, it was more about student choice. Like they choose the books they read and they get lots of independent reading time. Because if they choose the books they read, they have more engagement. They're more interested in their books. And they have to find these leveled reading texts or like these just right books. And when they read these just right books, it removes, I guess, barriers to fluency, or it removes the struggle of reading, which makes, I guess, fluency more prevalent. And basically, each time they would go off to do some independent silent reading, you have like these little mini conferences with them, like, hey, make sure good readers do this and good readers do that. And those little mini lessons before they go off to read, and then you would conference with them and see how they're doing. It's a lot of setup, like the actual implementation of it. If you were a teacher, the fact that you have to almost one by one meet with so many students, create these little mini lessons where students are at these numerous varying levels, and then conference with them. It is a lot of work. Now, at one part of it, it does feel very joyous or authentic, and I can see the appeal to it. And me personally, I've been through many professional developments, seeing it implemented, and it looks great. The problem is not that it's not joyful. The problem was whether it was a good system for teaching kids to read, and that's what we're going to get into next, which is, according to a lot of the research, it just simply wasn't so. So, balanced literacy by Lucy Calkins was implemented on a fairly large scale. It started off with Teachers College in New York and New York public schools, but I taught in California. It was used there as well. It's used in various parts of the country. So, what's the problem with it? It's not that kids didn't read fine, or I should say, it's not that some kids didn't read just fine. Some did just fine. The problem is, what about students who were average or maybe even struggling readers? How did they do? How did they do with this approach? And the problem is they didn't do very well. So why is that? Well, what the research has kind of shown is that if decoding is not one of the parts that's explicitly taught during reading, students then have to guess how to read and sound out a word. And long term, guessing how to sound out a word doesn't work. And if you were to take what we talked about earlier, were the five main components of phonemic awareness, then phonics, then fluency, then vocabulary, then reading comprehension. If you're asking students to explain what they've read, the thing is comprehension's the fifth step. It's not the first or second, it's the fifth one. It's the last one. Decoding has to come before that. And if decoding is not just the system that's taught at the very beginning, well, then students just naturally guess. And as more and more of that research came out, the New York City public schools actually moved away from that model. And actually, the teachers college basically even admitted that it does not work, and they kind of removed it from their, that's what I'm looking for, their structure basically. And it is unfortunate. It's not that there wasn't any good intentions behind this system. It's just that ultimately, if you look at the bigger picture of whether or not it's teaching many students at a very large scale how to read and read well, it just didn't. Now, if you're a parent or an educator, what does this ultimately all mean? Well, it means there needs to be a decent system in place to actually teach your child or teach students to read. And again, back to those five main components: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and then reading comprehension, basically building background knowledge. Now, in your system, is phonemic awareness or is phonics, is it taught directly? Or are we teaching students how to actually know the sounds of the letters, how to blend sounds together? Is the phonics systematic? Is there an actual sequence to it, a progression to it? And is there a daily practice to it? That does really matter. Is fluency taught daily, meaning teaching them to read accurately and to read with good tone, intonation, rhythm, pacing, so on and so forth? Is that taught in a daily way? And I actually did learn from a really good reading teacher kind of near the end of my classroom tenure that these things like phonics and fluency, that you only need a little bit of time each day to teach it. I think it's more the practice of, is it taught daily? But hopefully it's also taught at a young age. It's being realistic. Hopefully by the time they're getting to be teenagers, you're only working on reading comprehension and vocabulary. You're not necessarily still working on phonics and fluency, hopefully. But there needs to be an actual progression to all this, an automaticity. And then plus with the vocabulary and knowledge, that has to be taught intentionally, not accidentally, not just like, hey, there's a new word in this book here. Cool. Here's what it means. Okay, let's move on. There also needs to be a system to teach those as well. And also, I guess I'll also break down real quickly. When it comes to reading comprehension, it's numerous different skills, compare and contrast, and basically predictions and inferences. So even though I'm breaking down to those five components, each of them have their own skills you want to break down from there. Ultimately, what comes down to reading is this: you can't hope that a student will guess the meaning or guess how to sound it correctly. Hope is not a strategy. You need a structure for all these parts to it. And again, like I said earlier, decoding is what makes reading possible, but the knowledge is what makes reading more powerful. So don't skip any of those steps. Make sure that there's an actual system and progression with the reading. And I hope this was useful. If so, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Everyone, take care.